All right, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Look, so this is my little new cooking channel. All right, so we're new at this. Not new at cooking, but we're new at the video and all that good stuff. So right now, what I've got here is a massive brisket. Well, massive to me. It's about 16 pounds, and we just trimmed off about 3 pounds of fat here, and you can see we're going to render this down a little bit while we're smoking this brisket. So what we're going to use today is we're going to use kitchen, there you go, and we are going to use some of the Kingsford Original All-Purpose Seasoning Dry Rub, and you can get this anywhere. It's nothing special, nothing sponsored or anything like that. So we're going to go with some onion powder and just regular old garlic powder, and then we'll probably cap it off a little bit later with some salt and pepper. But what we're going to do is we're going to rub a little bit of the kitchen banquet on bouquet, sorry, kitchen bouquet, onto the fat side here, just as a binder. And look, I know you're looking at this. Some of the guys out there may be like, damn, why are you trimming that up? But I'm cooking this basically for my mother-in-law, and she loves the fat on it. So we're gonna go with some fat. We're gonna smoke it a little extra on the time limit to get the smoke into the fat and all that stuff, and get that fat to render down into the meat. So we'll shake this up just a little bit, and we're gonna slowly pour a little bit of this on there. We don't need too much. So then you just rub this in as a binder, and really you're not gonna taste this a whole lot. Look at that, it just does very well, but it does help tenderize the meat, which we're going on a smoker. That smoke is gonna tenderize this meat perfectly, okay? But a lot of people can use mustard. You can use mustard, you can use mayonnaise, you can, anything that's gonna help your seasoning stick and create that bark that we're all looking for, okay? So just gonna rub this down, get it in all the places that you're like, oh, I could have got some there. So rub this down a little bit here. Make sure you get your sides, because we are going to be seasoning those sides. And the front around here. Here we need a little more here. Got that there. Now we're gonna flip this bad boy over, and we're gonna do the same to the meat side. So we're just gonna rub this all over. You don't, like, again, you don't, it looks like a lot, but you don't need too much just to get these seasonings to stick for now. And I'm gonna drop this probably about 10 o'clock. It's 7:36 tonight, so I'm seasoning this about an hour or so before I actually drop it, because you want these seasonings to come in here, get inside this meat, soak in this meat, and soak up some of the moisture that's actually inside this meat. We're going to be putting plenty of moisture back into it when we cook it, so we don't need to worry about that. All right, so we are going to flip this bad boy back over to the fat side. And what I didn't show you guys is what you can see here is I've got some score marks, and maybe you can't see them. There's one. I scored it before we started the video, so there's score marks on here just to get this to pull in some of these seasonings that we're gonna do. Now, I got gloves on, but I don't want to touch my seasonings after I touch the meat, so just gonna wash these off a little bit, and then we're gonna go heavy on the Kingsfords, okay? Yeah. So we're coming in heavy on this, really heavy. There we go. And do not be afraid to season these things, because you're going to want this bark to come in nice and thick and heavy. You also want to season the sides. make sure you don't forget about the sides, because if you don't get bark on those sides, the juices will render out of the sides. You're losing your, you're losing your and what you want to do is you want to dry up as much of that binder that you can. Get those sides, don't forget those sides. Now, what I've noticed in the past is if you go with any kind of seasoning salt, you want to be careful, because you're going to have plenty of rendered salts coming out of this meat. It's just the way meat is packaged these days. So you want to be a little bit careful going too heavy on the salt. Now, pepper is a different thing, because pepper, and you want to do that a little later because you don't want that to burn. But you want to just kind of massage that in right there. Make sure, again, you get those sides. Okay, and we're going to come in heavy on the onion powder. Powder on both sides. I guess I just messed up my bottles because I just touched them after I touched the meat, but that's okay. We'll clean them off. Don't be afraid to touch your meat. And we're gonna go with the other base. Is just some garlic. So that's seasoned on that side. So now we're gonna flip her over and do the exact same thing. And we're gonna smear that binder around again on that bottom pan and lift and flip. All right, here we go. We're coming back in with the Kingsfords. Kingsford's a well-known brand. I'm just using that because it's what they had. And we're gonna go in again, heavy, heavy, heavy. So we want to soak up that binder. We want to make sure that we get the sides again. I know I keep emphasizing that, but a lot of people will forget about that and they lose all their juices out of the sides of the brisket. Okay, now we're coming in heavy on the onion powder again. Now this onion powder is going to burn off a little bit, so it's actually going to add to the smoke flavor when you actually put the smoke to the brisket, which is a lot of times why you don't want to use a whole lot of pepper right away up front, because it'll burn off and give you a burnt pepper taste. But the taste of the garlic, the onion, is just like it's like a sauteed onion, if you know what that means. It's, you cook it in some soy sauce or something like that. And yeah. So then we're coming in heavy on the garlic. Don't be afraid to rub your meat. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to drop this about 10, 11 o'clock. So what we're going to do now that we've got this seasoned up all over again is we're going to go back over it with some Kingsford just to cover a little bit of that garlic and onion powder that we put on. Kind of gives it a little bit of a barrier there. And then we're gonna flip. And look at that. Look at that. You can already tell that that bark is gonna come up nice and pretty because it's already almost ready. After about 16 hours of cooking. So we're drying up that binder basically is what we're doing. So now that we're done with this, we're gonna let this sit for about 2 hours, okay? We're gonna let this soak in and absorb moisture, and then this, like whatever you see that's dry right here, is going to eventually kind of, you know, turn, you know, it's going to get moist, and it's because of the juices inside, the salts, the juices, the water inside is all going to come out. This stuff is going to draw it out, and it's going to just create this bark over top of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the refrigerator for about an hour, hour and a half, and then we'll be back.